Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis Gianoutsos. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Happy to be here, man. Excited to be here. Two different worlds colliding from New Zealand and America.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, I've just given our listeners a little bit of background about you. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your background?
Not much. I'm happy to be here, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart and grew up as an entrepreneur, and 20 years later, still starting companies. And I think last night I had a major idea on a new NFT project that I took to my team yesterday. And of course, they mainly get upset at me because it's another ideas company we had to go start, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I love every minute of it.
And so those ideas, do they come through often from you?
They, unfortunately or fortunately, however you look at it, a lot of times they do. I have learned throughout the years how to decipher and filter those. A lot of times you can get shiny object syndrome and chase different things too often. And where I'm at now, obviously it changes as you get bigger and bigger into companies, business. You need to think about it right now is going into leadership even a little bit here is learning as a leader of the team, which decisions to make that have massive potential and which ones, yes, you could make something off of. Yes, you could do something, but what is it going to cost your staff, your team, your employees? What's the ripple effect of that as a leader just to go do this other thing? So there's definitely a process and a filter I have to go through now as I've grown.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I find that there's a lot of people out there, entrepreneurs, leaders, and that they procrastinate and they don't get on with something. Or the other end, whereby, as you said, the shiny thing, they're on to the next thing and they don't finish something, or they don't have the team behind them to clean up and actually bring it to life.
Yeah.
What's one or two thoughts or one or two things you might suggest to people who are procrastinating in something or that they have too many shiny things? What should they do?
Yeah, obviously those are two different ends of the spectrum, right? And it's really, I would tell people, I think it's just part of your DNA. I don't think it's necessarily something that's negative or bad. It's just who you are. And there's all kinds of tests and stuff that you can take to try to clarify stuff for you. But for me, I'm a person that needs very little, what's called information to actually make a decision. I can look at the idea, the vision, and the concept, and I'm willing to make a decision on that, which is great because I can move fast and I'm willing to move quick on a topic. Negative is if you're not careful, you'll get into shiny object syndrome and you'll start chasing things because it's, there's new, especially when you're young and you're just starting into it because everyone's a great idea. So the advantage is you're quick, but you're also double-edged sword. You can make a lot of bad decisions, jumping into too many things at one time. To that person, I would say, find out of all the little ideas that are coming through, put the filters in place. And one of the filters that I always start with right now in business is, do I actually love this thing? Do I enjoy this concept? If I went and built this, it's not about money. Would I actually enjoy doing this? I think a lot of entrepreneurs get caught and even leaders get caught in doing something they don't like because they started to go down a path. And even though they may find financial success, they're still not happy with what they're doing. On the flip side of it would be analysis paralysis side, which is where you have to have all the details and all the information to make a decision. And there's, again, double-edged sword there, but those people struggle a lot of obviously just getting anything off the ground because there's no way as a leader, you're going to always have all the information. It doesn't exist. You're having to use your gut and sometimes make educated guesstimates with as much data as you can get, but there's always going to be that X factor. And for people that are too engineered, wired, they have to have every X and O attached. They struggle a lot in making decisions in entrepreneurship as well as leadership, of course.
There you go, listeners. You've heard it. What a start to the episode. Crikey. At the end of it, what I'm hearing from both sides of that kind of scenario there, Andrew, is make a decision. Whether you procrastinate, make a decision. It's never going to be perfect. And then on the other side, if it's a shiny thing, make a decision, have those filters as well. It's pretty cool. Very good. Hey, look, I asked this question here and some people think about, what is this thing? That is, how did you get into leadership?
More of a natural process. I think in my opinion, I think leaders, a couple things here, and I'll go a little bit philosophical here with you. I think leaders are born. I think there's something that's inside of them that it's a natural instinct for them. However, great leaders, I don't believe ever look for the leadership roles. They just do what they do. And part of a great leader is knowing how to make decisions, what we just talked about. And because people in a broad stroke struggle with making decisions, it naturally leaders who can make decisions, have learned how to filter or program themselves to be able to make decisions, naturally rise to the top inside of corporations and so forth because they're willing to make decisions. So I think great leaders, I think a lot of leaders are born. Now, I'm not saying that you can't even become a leader, but there is a difference between a naturally talented leader and then a leader that has read, studied, listened, and became a leader. And then, of course, the best leaders are the ones that are naturally born. And then they spend time reading, listening, study, and sharpening that sword, if you will, to a gift that they have to become a leader. So for me, leadership was as an entrepreneur, as my companies grew, it put me in a natural role where I had to be willing to make decisions and became a leader, basically.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah, that's good. Very good. And your favorite leader, this person can be from alive or from history. Who's your favorite leader and why?
I was thinking about this question, and it's hard because I have two that I want to give you. And one for the audience will mean very little, but the other one maybe a little bit more. Honestly, as I thought through this, and I love reading and studying, and behind my wall, you can't see it, not the wall here, but the one on the other side, I have original autographs from some of the greatest entrepreneurs that have ever lived on my wall behind me, original autographs chased down from the 1800s and generals of war, etc. But I think that when I thought that question, honestly, the first thing that came to my mind, it was actually just my father. And part of that is because there's two things in life. There's impact, there's influence. And those are the same things. Impact as a leader is when you go very deep with a person, but it's very narrow. Meaning when you create impact in someone's life, you cannot impact everybody's life. Impact is going very deep in a relationship, but very narrow. You're only going to be able to reach so many people. And then there's influence, which is where influence is very wide. And you can have a lot of influence as a leader, but they're shallow. And not that they're a shallow person, but the relationship is not in depth as, say, my father's was, because it was impact driven. And without getting more into my father, because again, I don't think it maybe applies to all the people, but the word that I would give you the most that he taught me was the word discernment. And I think in life, there's a very key word that we have to understand. It's called discernment. And it's a unique word that a lot of people struggle with or don't understand. And it's something my father always had. It was a gift of his, and he always tried to pass down. The other one, though, that I love to study is actually a leader named Nick Saban. And for those that don't know him, he's the college football coach of Alabama. And the reason that I love studying Nick Saban is because as a leader, when you create an environment of winning as a team, it is one thing for a leader to win. It is one thing for a leader to get to the top position. It is another thing for a leader to be able to stay at the top. Those are not the same things. There's always people that can shoot up very fast, get to the top, if you will, and then they can't stay there. Watching a leader in a high pressure situation be able to stay continuously at that top position and rarely falter is an incredible, it is one of a kind. And I love from the background watching him and what he does and teaches of how to have that sustained success.
Dan, a big welcome to you.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Awesome. Hey, whereabouts in the world are you today?
I'm in beautiful Austin, Texas. Great place for any technology company to be these days.
Awesome. Yeah, very good. And football, American football, are you a follower of any team?
Absolutely. I watched my team lose last night on TV, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow. Very good. I actually have traveled to the US and to Texas in particular a lot, and I love the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're great. And
you have a lot of company there. Texas is all about football when it comes to sports.
Yeah, it's very good. All righty. Hey, I've given our listeners a little bit of an introduction to you. Tell us a little bit more about your background.
Sure. I'm an engineer by education. I've spent my entire career focused on developing and bringing new energy technologies to market. During my career, I've worked in research development and product development. I was an associate director at one of the U.S. Department of Energy national labs. I led the gas turbine product lines for General Electric. I led Fuel Cell Energy as a publicly traded company, and I've also worked in solar solutions company. So my career has always been about taking innovative energy-related technologies from concept to commercialization.
Everyone loves a leader with lots of energy. That's a good thing too, right? So
there it is.
Yes. Yeah, it's very good. Awesome. Hey, tell me something. How did you get into leadership?
It didn't happen through any deliberate plan. Anytime you're bringing new technology from concept to commercialization, there are always unexpected surprises. The earlier you are in the development and commercialization of a technology, the less time and money you think it's going to take, because you just don't have enough information yet about the technical, the manufacturing, the commercialization challenges. So I found my way into leadership roles largely as a result of being on teams that face challenges bringing new technologies to market, and being personally willing to take the initiative and getting the team through the process of identifying, evaluating, and implementing solutions, and then being willing to be accountable if the solutions didn't deliver what was needed. So when you are openly working to enable and facilitate your team success, it just leads to more opportunities to lead bigger and bigger groups.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so I think one thing for our listeners here is that actually put your hand up. I think if you're there in teams, a great opportunity for you to develop as an individual, as a leader, would be to put your hand up and say that you're willing to do things. Is that what more or less what you're saying here, Dan, right? You've gone to done
It's what it really comes down to. It's not just being willing to put your hand up, but to really have an idea on how you can help the team be successful. Because you've got to be willing to say, there's something I can bring either in terms of my experience base, my tool set, or whatever, to help the team solve a problem, and think about how is the team going to succeed, because you all win if the team is successful.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay, cool. So just not just putting your hands up, it's also being in there and bringing your value, or bring some value to the table and doing things. Dan, you've mentioned a few things here, one thing several times, and it's about implementing solutions and so forth. A lot of people come to the leader at times with the problem and try to take the monkey, if I could put it that way, off their shoulders onto the leader's shoulder. How important, or what is one or two things people should do when they go into their leader with a problem? What do you think they should be doing?
I think no leader enjoys just getting a data dump of, here's the problem. Because a lot of times they're not close enough to it to really understand the context as well as maybe the people that are on that team. What you really want to do is say, hey, here's the problem. Here's my thought on what I think we should do. I need your advice. I need your counsel. Is that going to work? Or what should we try to do something different? Because it also helps the leadership identify who's the next generation of leaders. They might have an idea that won't work for any number of reasons, but what is somebody that wants to see the team succeed. They're willing to craft solutions. They're not just handing the problem off to somebody else and say, please solve this for me.
Yeah, very good. I like that. And I think a lot of people should come to the leader with, okay, here's the scenario. Here are one or two or three solutions. This is the one we're recommending, and why? Because I think it's good. And it's a great learning process for people too. I think the big word that I want to emphasize here that I'm hearing Dan say is execution. It's all good to talk about things, but actually executing it and delivering on that is really critical for everybody and all organizations.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential. One of the worst things that a leader can do is not make a decision.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to have all the information, but the importance of making a decision, being willing to acknowledge it wasn't the right path, need to change direction, is important. But the worst thing you can do is just sit there and say, I don't know what to do.
Oh, I love it. It's music to my ears, because I think you're so right in what you're saying. Leaders not making a decision, nobody wants that. Come on, we've got to make a decision. I think what we're saying here as well is that a lot of leaders want to make the right decision. We don't know all the time whether it's going to be a right decision. Make one, and then you can always adjust and move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Very good. All righty. Now, this is an interesting question here, because you may have been asked it a lot before in your career, and it could be somebody who's alive or from history, but who is your favorite leader and why?
Great question. It's hard to pick one because we've had so many in our history, but I had to think about one that just really stands out to me. It'd be Abraham Lincoln. He is someone who came from very humble beginnings. He lost his mother at a young age. He was alienated by his father. He was largely self-taught and became a lawyer and a great public speaker. He got elected to the state legislature, and he went on to become president and lead the country through one of its most fragile times. And he led based on his values and his belief in what is right. And he made decisions that at the time were terribly unpopular in many parts of the country, but he stayed true to his values, and he fundamentally changed the course of our nation.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.